Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome everyone to a new week on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning to our friends in Sioux Falls, KMBN to our friends in Western South Dakota, and everywhere in between at Inforum.com on this 29th day of June, the final Monday of the month. We are penultimate day of June. We are ready to kick June out of here to the curb and welcome into July. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Apparently, I'm still in weekend form. We were not in studio Friday. We were out at Moorhead Country Club. We spent the last 3 days televising the Red River Am, which we'll get to in a little bit. And thanks to everybody out at MCC for hosting us. It was another great event, and we got minimally rained on, too, considering the forecast heading into the weekend looked ominous. We actually made out pretty well. And I thought I put the entire studio back together in best we can. Like you saw it on our top shot here, that everything around is up. But instead, I noticed as we're getting ready to start, like there's something different about the set. And then it dawned on me that all of the other normal paraphernalia or junk, however you would describe it, depends on what you deem it as, I didn't set out. It's over here on my right. So I'm clearly not in top form here. I am going on vacation, actual vacation, after today for a few days. So evidently I've checked out. We will try our best to make sure we're locked in for the next hour and 58 minutes or so, because that is terribly disappointing. We'll make that correction when we get to our first commercial break. But be that as it may, we will trudge on here with the show. So hopefully everybody had a great weekend. It's going to be gross weather. I'm just telling you that right now. If you like the hot, humid weather and change for what we deal with in January, then the next week is right up your alley. And apparently it's going to be hot everywhere. Just looking at Good Morning America this morning, everywhere from the East Coast to the upper Midwest to wherever. It's July. But if you like the gross stuff, the 3 H's, man, here you go. You got it in spades coming up here for the next few days. Which, I mean, it's July. It should be warm. But I'm not a fan of the humid weather. I'll just get it out there now. Thankfully, we didn't have that too much over the weekend at the golf tournament, and we were able to get everything in and done, and actually we were done early, which is a nice change of pace, which we'll explain that in full coming up here in just a little bit. We got a lot to get to today. We are on the doorstep of July. July 1 is a big day in college athletics. You might think, well, wait a minute, nothing's going on. That is actually the opposite. That's the start of the new school year, the new budgetary year. And for leagues, it's the start of their new year. So July 1, around here, will be a very large day. North Dakota State will officially become a member of the Mountain West Conference on Wednesday. We're going to discuss that in full on the show today and what they have planned for Wednesday. We had Matt Larson here last Thursday after the news that NDSU became officially postseason eligible, signed off by the Division I cabinet, and now what comes of that we'll discuss coming up later on in the show today. That's not the only move. Obviously, the Summit League will reduce itself to 8 members officially on Wednesday. Denver leaves for the West Coast Conference. We discussed that last week with Josh Fenton on the show. There's a few other moves we'll highlight today and throughout the week that you should know about. But, yeah, July 1 officially becomes a pretty red-letter date for what's going on around the area. It's also, we're into the knockout stage of the World Cup. We'll get to that. The United States will play on Wednesday in its matchup with Bosnia-Herzegovina for a spot in the round of 16. That matchup will be in Santa Clara. The bracket is officially set. We're actually now down to 31 teams after the first elimination match yesterday. We'll show you that in just a little bit. Our best of the weekend is really impressive as well. Going to salute some fun performances we saw over the last couple days. NHL draft came and went. It was a big weekend for UND hockey. If we have time, we'll try and get into that. It's hard to get super excited on that because those guys, outside of maybe the top couple picks, aren't playing in the National Hockey League right away. Some aren't even playing college right away. It can get confusing if you're not totally up on it, but we'll try to peel that away coming up in just a little bit. Let's start with the red-hot Minnesota Twins. And I say this in complete jest, but also on the 29th day of June, I had this stat sent to me last night to make me feel probably worse about where the Mets are, because if the Mets were in the American League, we'd actually have a chance. But on the 29th of June, there are approximately 4 teams, 4 in the American League that have a better than 500 record. 4! The Tampa Bay Rays, the New York Yankees, the Chicago White Sox, and the Cleveland Guardians. That's it. So, Twins fans, as we get ready to turn the page to July, you're not out of it yet. They start the day only 4.5 games back. They beat the Rockies this weekend. They took 2 of 3 against Colorado, who ain't good. Connor Prelip started yesterday for the Twins. We'll get to him in a second. Colorado got to the Prelip early here on an infield single. If you knew more than 3 Rockies, hats off to you. That's TJ Rumfield who hit there. We know this guy. This is Brooks Lee, opposite field. That gets thrown away. Will allow Royce Lewis to score. We're tied at 1. Looks like only family and friends at Target Field on a nice day yesterday. Cody Clemens connects here in the bottom of the 4th. This is his 13th home run of the year. Again, did not expect this guy to be a main contributor as long as he has been for this team. That ball was crushed, too. That's out into the plaza area out there and right. It's 2-1 Minnesota. Tied at 2. Ryan Kreidler will deliver. Again, who? This is blasted to center for a 412-foot shot. Made it 3-2 Minnesota. At that point, Twins bullpen got the job done. For Prelip went 6 and struck out 10. Morris, Bonda, and Gomez pitched the last 3 innings. And the Twins win a series. They had a rally on Friday night after blowing an 8-0 lead. I'm coughing because it's the most ridiculous thing ever. They lost Saturday, but they win yesterday. 3-2. The final. Prelip was really good. Struck out 10. No decision, unfortunately, for him. Only allowed 2 runs and allowed 6 hits in the victory. As the Twins get set to hit the road this weekend. They start with Houston, then they go to the Yankees for the 4th of July. Now, I mentioned this before we went to the highlights. So, this is what the league standings look like right now in the Central. White Sox and the Guardians are virtually tied on top. Chicago's played 2 less games than Cleveland, but they essentially have the same winning percentage. Then the Twins, red hot at 4.5 back. The Tigers and Royals bringing up the rear. In the wild card race, I don't know why I'm doing this to you, but Minnesota is literally 2 games out of the last wild card spot. It goes Yankees, Guardians, Mariners. The Mariners are under 500. Then the Astros, who the Twins are going to see for the next 3 days. And Houston was god-awful to start the year. Then the Twins, Blue Jays. If the Mets were in the American League, honestly, we wouldn't be that far. We'd be 6 out. But instead, we play in the National League, and we fired our manager and lost 2 or 3 to the Phillies, and I hate the Phillies as much as I hate the Braves. Yeah, keep going. You got to scroll a while to get there. The Rockies, by the way, are the worst team in baseball as the Twins took 2 or 3 this weekend. So there's your Twins update. Now to what we did this past weekend. And before we show you how things unfolded yesterday over at Moorhead Country Club, a couple of quick thank yous. We mentioned thank you to the tremendous tournament committee and staff over at Moorhead Country Club for putting on a Another great event. And to our entire technical crew over the last 5 days, we started getting set up, I believe, on Tuesday over at the golf course. That's not a setup we normally do. It's not like setting up at the Fargo Dome or the Shack or the Minot State Dome or anything like that. This is sprawled out as you can be, and it is not a easy endeavor. And you have to account for weather, which obviously for those venues I just mentioned, we never have to worry about that outside of getting to a specific place. So the last 3 days for what we've done for live television is not an easy thing. And I just wanted to say thanks to everybody because it looked great. This is my 4th year of doing it, and by far this is the best one we've had yet. In terms of the actual golf, it was by far the best we've had yet because not only do we see a women's scoring record broken, we had the men's course record broken over the weekend. The two leaders after Saturday were Carter White from North Dakota State on the men's side and Catherine Van Aragon on the women's side. It was the winner from last year. And it turns out we had some drama, maybe not as much as we would have hoped for on Sunday. We'll show you how it went down from the golf course. Starting on the women's side, because Catherine Van Aragon was tremendous, at least early on. It got dicey. Started off here at number one. The first hole plays a par 5 for the women. Got that one to go in the side door, made an early birdie. She started her round at 5 under par. Move ahead to the third hole. This hole was peppered with great shots. That notwithstanding is another one. She'd knock in this putt. Now she's 7 under and 2 under on the round. Her lead at that point was up to 6. As you see here, she's got a 7-shot lead when she curls in another birdie at the 8th. She left that hole up by 8. But things got dicey down the back 9. She made a couple of bogeys, but ended in style with a great birdie at the 18th. She wins by 3 over Claire Jamison from Huntsville, Alabama, just wrapping up her junior year of high school. She's going to play collegiate golf at Nebraska. Meanwhile, Carter White, after 63 on Saturday, kind of sprayed it a little bit over the place. Had that nice chip shot at 4, save par. Here at 6, the other par 3 on the front side. Another great chip. Had that. He'd knock in this putt. He did not have the kind of highlights like he had Saturday. We'll show you that coming up in a little bit. He shot 73 yesterday, which was 2 over. 10 shots worse than what he did on Saturday, but it was good enough for him to win. As each of them take home championships for St. Thomas, it's the 3rd straight time that a Tommy wins this event. And for White, he becomes the 3rd Bison in 4 years to win, the 8th of the last 10. It's almost become the Tommy and Bison Invitational there at Moorhead Country Club. Congrats to both. They each shot course records. Van Aragon shot 66 in her victory on Friday. And then White shot 63 on Saturday. Just fantastic stuff there from both of them and leading to their championships. White ended up winning by 3, as did Van Aragon, won by 3. That's about as close as we've had. We've had just some boat races here when we get to Sunday. So actually we had some drama on the women's side for about 4 holes before Van Aragon had a 2-shot swing on the 18th. Lastly, before we set up the show, while that was happening yesterday, the knockout stage began. I like how they call it that. It's not elimination or do or die. Soccer has a couple of unique terms to it. Knockout is definitely one. You don't hear that in the NBA, the NHL, or the Major League Baseball postseason, but only soccer does this for its World Cup. So the knockout stage began yesterday. After we played 3 group games, we whittled the field from 48 to 32. First time we're ever doing this. Remember, the tournament expanded this year. The first match featured Canada and South Africa. The Canadians had never won a knockout stage match. This was a great game yesterday. There was a couple of big chances the Canadians had. This is a dynamite save. They keep it a 0-0 score. I'm trying to get my best with my soccer terminology here. We're in the 92nd minute. We're in extra time. Still scoreless toward Canada gets the goal there. It's not as a heartbreaker like it was in the Turkey-United States match on Thursday night, but I mean, this is even worse, frankly, because one team is done. The Canadians win it 1-0. Their first knockout win in their history. So they are moving on. This is the official bracket. Canada will play the winner of the Netherlands and Morocco. Everyone has that circled as maybe one of the best matches of the tournament. That's coming up tonight on Fox. For some reason, we only had one match yesterday. Someone's got to explain that to me, because now we've got 3 for the next few days. We're back to the all-you-can-eat buffet if you're a soccer nerd or if you like live sports in the middle of your day. 3 matches today. Brazil, Japan. That goes at noon. That's in the upper right quadrant. You've got Germany, Paraguay. That's up in the upper left. That goes at 3:30. And then Netherlands, Morocco to play the winner of Canada. The United States, you see on there, their bracket, their path to the final. Let's just get crazy for a second. Path to the final would be Bosnia-Herzegovina, likely Belgium. I'd hope it's Senegal because we beat Senegal a couple weeks ago before the tournament began. Then either Portugal or Spain. That's in the quarterfinal. A semifinal with probably Germany or France? Question mark? And then whoever comes out of the, probably Argentina, because they've been the best team in it. Now, I know the last 3 rounds say preposterous, but everyone to a T, including the players, have said it's quarterfinals or bust. And that starts on Wednesday night with a really, I think, tough opponent. And this stat out there, the United States has not beat a European team in 12 matches here. They've lost 12 in a row to teams from Europe. So that's the streak that's on the line coming up on Wednesday. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. We'll salute our best of the weekend. We'll do it each and every Monday. That's coming up in just a few minutes. At 9:35, Jeff Kolpack will join us in studio. Jeffrey, of course, is out there this weekend at the River Ram. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw on the golf course. Also, some big Bison news that happened while we were out there. Both men's and women's basketball head coaches got extensions. David Richmond and Jory Collins were extended on Friday. We'll discuss that and a few other things with Jeff at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Derrick Lang will join us from NDSU's Team Makers and fundraising arm, former Bison football player, to tell us exactly what's going on Wednesday, on 701 Day. NDSU has got some major gifts planned to try and raise some major money for their move to the Mountain West Conference and FBS. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Matthew Babatz will join us, newest MSUM football commit. You may recognize the last name. He is the younger brother of Bison offensive lineman Ryan Babatz. Matthew is no short guy in his own right, and he'll be playing close to his older bro across the river for the Dragons and Steve Lockway. So we'll visit with Matthew coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here over the next hour and 40 minutes or so. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the week, and we'll head back to the golf course. We'll also head to the Manning Passing Academy and a few other stops in between. I got to put the set back together. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, it's Monday morning at 9:20. We do our best of the weekend. Do it each and every Monday here. I feel back normal here. Now we got things back situated. So, phone blew up moderately this weekend with the Manning Passing Academy was going on down in Thibodaux, Louisiana. We talked about it a little bit on Friday's show, knowing that both the starting quarterbacks for the North Dakota Division I teams were going to be invited as counselors. Nathan Hayes was going from North Dakota State, and Jerry Kaminsky was going from the University of North Dakota. Well, it turned out to be a pretty darn good weekend for the Fighting Hawks starting QB, as he was named one of the standouts from the academy. He won the Passing Camp Challenge. Now, I wish I had video to show you from it. All I have is him getting a photo with the Mannings, with him and Eli, Peyton, and Cooper, and Archie, which is pretty darn good. Look at the list of names that Kaminsky's here with. Trinidad Chambliss, Arch Manning, John Mateer from Oklahoma, Mestamaker from Oklahoma State, Julian Sand from Ohio State. These are the standouts that were there this weekend, and Kaminsky was there as well. So, big-time honor for UND's quarterback. We'll see what it means for the upcoming year, but it certainly doesn't hurt the fact that he went down there with that kind of quarterbacks around and performed well. Certainly can't hurt. So, congratulations to Jerry on a pretty darn good weekend. I know the folks in Grand Forks are certainly excited about that, and have him come back and be a second year starting, and to have the kind of team they believe could be contenders on top of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And we will get to this in due time. I believe Missouri Valley Media Day in Sioux Falls is coming up here in just a couple weeks. I believe 2 weeks from tomorrow, which is scary to say that out loud, because I told you after the 4th of July, we're done. Summer's over, so enjoy this week. Where the pecking order of what that preseason poll is going to look like in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. I don't know if I'll have a vote anymore. But if I did, just off the top of my head, I would put Illinois State probably at the top spot, although the Redbirds lost a bit. The Jackrabbits would be there. UND would be there. I don't know about South Dakota because they lost a lot. Those would be in the top 3. And then, South Dakota, Southern Illinois, they bring back DJ Williams with their quarterbacks. That's big news for the Salukis. SIU might be in that top mix, maybe ahead of USD. I would put SIU ahead of USD just because of that. And then after, Murray going to struggle again. Indiana State likely going to struggle again. Just some things never change. Youngstown is intriguing as well. Brungard obviously is back, but they lost a lot. I don't know where to put the Penguins. I think I would put Youngstown in that same mix with SIU. Not in that top tier, because I think they're ahead of them. That's probably how I'd see it shaken out. It's going to be really interesting to follow. Just so bizarre. Again, we've talked about ad nauseum what the Bison have themselves going into. I think fans are kidding themselves around here if they're not going to pay attention to what's happening in the Missouri Valley. I don't believe it. I'm going to follow it. Maybe not as closely, obviously, as we used to, but I'm certainly going to want to know what's happening. We're going to keep talking about it. Maybe, again, it's not as extensively as we used to, because I think there's a lot of excitement around what the Mountain West holds for everybody. But I'm still going to be clued into this. And I want to take 1 minute. Normally, I try to rise above this, but I'm not going to on this particular instance, because I got a tweet sent to me over the weekend about the Kaminsky deal. And it says, good luck getting Dom to file a timely report on UND football. Hashtag Bison bias. I love it with the UND fans. And it's not all of them. But it's like, we reported on the tampering deal, and it's like, oh, Dom's picking on UND. And then I'm just reporting the facts. Then I report on this, or I don't. It's like, what do you want me to do? Be quiet is what I want you to do. We talk about stuff. I've tried to find somebody who talks more about UND football, gets more into UND football guests in Fargo than this show. Okay? Let's move on. Salute to Verndale, Minnesota. Shout out to them. I love the Pirates. Mike Muller, one of my all-time favorites, winningest coach in the state of Minnesota in high school football. Verndale also produced Carter White, who is now a Red River Amateur champion. We showed you that. What we didn't show you is what he did on Saturday. Saturday was so interesting because Dan Matheson was the first-round leader. He actually had it to 6 under par, was cruising. Carter was playing a few groups behind him and just started making birdies. Like this monster that he nearly made over at the 4th. Makes this putt at the 6th hole. Our friend and colleague Greg McCullough said to me on Hot Mic on Friday when I asked him, hey, is the course record out there? He said, yeah, someone's going to shoot 63. Well, White had a spot where he made 4 straight birdies on the front 9. This is his approach shot at the 10th, which I thought was tremendous, and that pin location went right over the top of the flagstick. This is one of the few putts he did not make on his second round. This was for par at 10 that kept the mojo going. Keeps it going. This is at the 11th. Super tough hole and pin location. Knocked that in for birdie. He left the 11th hole up by 4. He was once down by 3. This is at the par 3 14th. He makes that. Once that putt went in, I remember, and I said it, like, okay, course record watch is on. Then he comes over to 16, nails this birdie, and he's 9 under. 9 at that point. He eventually got it to 10. He had a good look at birdie at the 18th. He missed that. He tapped that and then shot 63. The new course record at Moorhead Country Club. So each of the last 3 years, we have seen the course record broken. It was Nate Pearl in 2024. He shot 65. Now plays at the University of North Dakota. Last year in the second round, Rylan Petrie from North Dakota State. He shot 64 and won. And then on Saturday, it's Carter White shooting 63, and he goes on to win. Phenomenal playing, as we mentioned earlier. Lastly, this is one of my favorite stories of the weekend. From Friday night and the first round of the NHL draft in Buffalo, New York, congratulations to the Cullen family and specifically to Wyatt Cullen. He was selected with the 10th overall pick by the Nashville Predators. I believe that Luke Bryan introduced him with the pick at the KeyBank Center in Buffalo on Friday night. The fact Wyatt shot up the draft boards here like a rocket over the last, I'd say, even month and a half. I'm not a great NHL draft mind. Regardless, this was my favorite part of the night. The fact he got a huge hug from his mom, Bridget. I've known Bridget and Matt forever. And his grandpa, Terry, of course, is the godfather of Moorhead hockey. Terry Cullen and Terry Shirtcliffe are the godfathers of Spud hockey. This was my favorite part of the entire night. Regardless of why I get drafted, I'm getting older, so I'm clearly getting more emotional at my age, and now that I've had a kid, to see that, I lost it. I know that family, I would say, fairly well, so to see that was tremendous. I have a feeling most of Moorhead, and I live in Moorhead, as many of you know, it was a pretty big deal. And then the fact that Wyatt got up there and they had Matt and Bridget on the stage to get interviewed as well was really neat stuff. So congratulations to Wyatt Cullen, selected 10th overall. He gets a mustard jersey as well to wear with the Nashville Predators. His dad, Matt, played in Nashville for a couple years. I don't know if people remember that. During his time after winning the Stanley Cup with Carolina, prior to winning the Cup with the Penguins twice over. Look at that. That is mustard yellow. I'm going to tell you that right now, that Wyatt now gets to play with Nashville. Congratulations. Of course, he's off to the University of Minnesota to play for the Gophers. Good stuff from the NHL draft on Friday night. That's our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Jeff Kolpack waiting in the wings to discuss what's ahead for the Bison on 701 Day and much more when Hot Mike returns on a Monday morning. We are back after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4. I should have yelled 2.
All right, here he is, everybody. Peter Costas Light, our guy Jeff Kolpack joins us.
Peter Costas.
Brought to us each and every Monday by Northwestern Mutual. Joined us a little bit earlier. By the way, I'm making an executive decision. Can you do 9:30 going forward for the fall? We can do 10 for the rest of the summer.
Let me talk to my agent.
Because I want to do 9:30.
If I had an agent.
Because if when we get football going, I want the first person of the week to be you. Once we get to Mountain West football,
Dom,
we want to hear from
you. Say jump, I say how high. That's the way things work around here.
Make an executive decision here on the air.
Also, call me Peter Nostradamus. Because who called this Red River Am, when Carter White was coming off the third or fourth hole, what did I say? What did I say?
I don't remember.
Of course you don't remember. I said look out for.
You said.
I said look out for Carter White. He's playing well.
Yeah. That was remarkable what happened in the middle of the round Saturday. I mean, Dan Matheson was out there at 6 under, and he had at that point he was up by 4. And within an hour later, he was down by 5. I've never seen anything like that in golf.
Well, here's what I think you see in a tournament like this. And you have to look at the college kids first, because here's the reason. They've been grinding away all year round. That's what they do. And they've been playing in competitive tournaments for, 3-day tournaments. They've been training. They've been doing all this. They're mentally ready for these tournaments. Now, I'm not saying guys like Riley Johnson, Dan Matheson, Andy Doden are not, but they have a living to make.
They have another job. They have a job.
They're not grinding.
No.
And these college kids, golf is their job. That is their job.
Correct.
They get cost of attendance. They get some scholarship. This is their job. And so they are, I kind of liken it to, in a way, the LIV Tour versus the PGA Tour, because these LIV guys have guaranteed contracts, apparently not grinding away like they do. They have 3-round tournaments, not 4. They're not scrapping for a living. I shouldn't say scrapping is the wrong word. They're not grinding for a living because it's all there.
Right.
And so the word is that maybe they don't work as hard, and then they get in these major tournaments, and they tend to falter as the weekend goes along because they're just not in that groove, I guess is the better word.
Yeah, I'd say just watching each of them between Carter White and Catherine Van Aragon, who wins back-to-back, and I know you wrote about it in your story of the forum for today, and I talked about it on the broadcast. So a Bison golfer has now won this 8 of the last 10. I think it's also 10 of the last 14 years a Bison has won it on the men's side. And St. Thomas now has won it 3 straight times on the women's side, which is awfully, when Isabel Lynch won it a couple of years ago, I remember her saying, we're going to send more players up here. And they have. They routinely have had 5 or 6 women's players come from St. Thomas over the last couple of years.
A couple examples. Andy Doden said he felt the nerves when he went off on Thursday or Friday. He felt the nerves. I was talking to Riley Johnson after that 15-minute delay on hole 13, and he's just talking about getting back into it, gave pro a shot, took a year or 2 off, and he goes, I miss this. I miss this feeling. I miss this competitive stuff. But these college guys have been doing that now, and that's what they do.
Yep.
This is nothing new where Riley's like, okay, this is probably his first, only,
he had been out of
3-hole.
He told me he was
3-day tournament.
He had been out of competitive golf for about 4 years after starting. He went in insurance after he was a great high school golfer and obviously played at the University of Minnesota. That he came back last year. He won a U.S. Open sectional qualifier and then got the juice back going with him.
Yeah, and Andy, one of his goals in talking to him last week is he wants to qualify and make a USGA event again. And I have no doubt that he can do this. He looks good. I mean, he looks the same as he did in college physically.
Yes.
I mean, he's in shape.
Yep.
And everything, but it takes work, and he knows that because after Friday's round, he was off early, and we were obviously toward the end, one of the last to leave the course. He's still out there putting,
grinding away,
and he's getting a new putter. He was waiting for his wife to bring him out a new putter, so he knows the grind. It's just going to take work, and it's not easy. Competitive golf, high level golf, is not like a bike. You just don't pick it up and go.
No,
there's a mental component. There's a lot that goes into it.
So this was our 6th year of doing this, and I'm just blown away how much better it keeps getting each and every year. Describe what you've seen out there and how they keep it. Not only the tournament chair keeps getting adapting things, the field keeps getting better. It's really impressive what we've seen over there over the last
Starts
few
with
years.
leadership for sure, with the Moorhead Country Club and the committee and Chris Hall and Chris Larson. And their volunteers. That's where it starts. If you don't have that, then forget it. Membership has to be willing to sacrifice the course in a prime weekend.
For about a week, too. It's not just the 3 days. It's about a whole week.
Because you guys, we are setting up and things like that. So it takes all of that, and I think they did just a bang-up job. Yes. I saw no hiccups whatsoever. In fact, on yesterday, I was out on the course. Us and was it Brody, or I can't remember who I was with, and we went through a puddle, and right there was Chris Larson and Chris Hall, and I go, take care of that puddle. This is ridiculous.
Well, you know what? that tournament would not be without some sort of weather. We got a little bit on
rain gear
on
every
Saturday.
year. Yeah, bring your rain gear every year. That's one thing I pack. That's for sure.
Honestly, though, we made out pretty well considering what the forecast looked like heading into last week, and we didn't have any. The tournament never stopped, so that's they're more happy than that than anything. They got it done.
And really,
got it done on time.
When I was talking to Riley, that was the only time where I thought there was a delay of some sort, and some groups must have gotten in trouble in front.
Yeah, there was. We could see it coming that before your group got to the third, like, okay, we're going to have a slowdown here because there were I think Sam told us there were 4 groups on that hole at one time.
But then it spread out after that, so it was short-lived, and that was a test of a good tournament.
Yep, good stuff there. So another one in the books for 2026. Now, while we were out on the golf course on Friday, a little news dump on a Friday from North Dakota State that their basketball coaches each got 5-year contract extensions, which I'm not thrilled about them announcing on Friday at 3 o'clock when we're out there. They're not working on our schedules, but hello.
Well, yeah, I'm in the golf cart listening to you, waiting to get to my you're always preparing for something to say. For Jeff, what's going on out there? So I'm doing that. So you're always thinking about golf and what the players are doing. Look at my phone, and I see that. I go, well, I guess I can't do that story right now. I'm a little busy.
So David and Jory Collins each get extensions. Let's start with Richmond because his deal was up after this upcoming year. There was no way he was going to go into this as a lame duck coach. Another 5-year deal, obviously off of what happened this past season when they win 27 games. They win both the regular season and the conference tournament. I will give total credit to him on this. He has adjusted his coaching style completely. Where he and I had this conversation 5 years ago, he was an angry guy in terms of where this profession was at. I don't think he likes it a whole lot more, but at least he's adjusted to how to coach now in the portal era.
I thought if he's ever going to leave, it would have been after this year because look at his resume is pretty good. And when you're hot, you're hot. And they had a great year, and he showed that he could adjust, like you just said, his coaching style and coach in the portal era.
Yep, totally.
And he seems to, I don't know if he at least he has the appearance of thriving with it.
I was going to say that. I think he actually is thriving with it.
I don't know if he believes it, but...
No, see, the last time I had him on the show and I asked him about that, are you enjoying this? He's like, I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but he's got a better grasp
he knows,
of things now.
Okay, here's the challenge. Yep. As the season's winding down, I'm already looking ahead to next year, thinking which guys are going to the portal. And if they have a good year like they did this year, it'll be most.
I agree. I had an email to ask you about, is North Dakota State still in the Summit League at the end of Dave's 5-year extension?
Yes.
I say no.
You say no?
I don't believe they will be. There's a hot take Monday for you. I don't think so. That's 2031. I don't know where. If it's the Mountain West, maybe, but I don't think they're going to be in that league in 5 years' time.
Well, and I've said it, I believe, on this show that I do believe the FBS money at some point, you have to wonder if that'll make a difference in the Summit, because NDSU is the only Summit school that has an FBS program.
I just want the Summit to do something. Like Fenton was on last week. They just got to do something. It's just too much to sit still and watching everybody leave. Denver is officially gonzo on Wednesday. Then they're at 8. That is not a great... I was talking with Matt Johnson out at the golf tournament, head women's coach, and I was like, hey, Denver leaves. Denver's been powerhouse in golf. He's like, yeah, we're a little nervous here because I don't think... Who doesn't play women's golf? South Dakota? Somebody doesn't play women's golf. That they're only down to 7 now, and you have to have 6 to be the automatic qualifier for the tournament. That's not great when you're at that little school. I don't know. We've hammered this topic for time and more.
Where do you go? Who do you add?
I'm calling Northwest Mo. I'm calling him right now. And Fenton said last week it's not just Division 2.
My understanding is they have no desire.
Sweeten the pie, just something. You got to do it somewhere. Your friends at Lindenwood. We've been banging the door on them. Evidently, Lindenwood said no. It's been reported that Lindenwood said, well, I don't want to go back to Macomb, but was Western Illinois, would they consider
Apparently
coming back?
Not. I think they're happy where they're at.
Right, because they'd have to come for football. They don't want to do that. I don't know. You got to do something. But that's my hot take on that.
Well, and that's good for NDSU in their negotiations with the Mountain West is they get the first right of refusal, right?
Correct.
Because if the Mountain West is going to add a school for all sports, they have to go to NDSU first by contract.
Yep.
And NDSU is doing that because they're a little nervous.
Exactly.
Like the Summit blows up. Need a league.
Well, I mean, again, you're at 8, and how often have we heard about Omaha, Kansas City, and Oral Roberts.
Kansas City and Oral Roberts have gone before.
Right, correct.
Not like they wouldn't be the first time.
Now they have, and the argument is, well, they came back, which is accurate, but I'm just putting it out there. They're just not great. For Jory Collins, which, again, I thought as well, if there was any steam momentum, it might have been after this year. They have a 3-game winning streak. They win the regular season championship. They make it to the Summit League Tournament championship game. They win a game in the WBIT. I think this is big, honestly, for the players notably on the team, but obviously the recruits coming. He's got some headline recruits coming that are coming because of Jory Collins.
But I think you have to get to the NCAA tournament.
I do
to really
agree
make
with that.
yourself marketable.
Yep, totally.
To get a job that's significantly better than an NDSU job.
Yes. If it's a Power 4 job, yes, I agree with that. Because I think, I don't know what other mid-major he would go to. He is compensated pretty well, and knowing, obviously, NIL and facility-wise is pretty darn good. What's the next step beyond that? Yeah, I probably agree with you. And yes, he's got to get a berth to the NCAA tournament and then see what happens after that.
And the fact that Aaron Johnston at South Dakota State hasn't moved makes you wonder, okay, are those jobs really desirable?
Bingo.
In women's basketball? Certainly there's not as many in women's as there is in men's.
Right.
You're talking about Power 4 level.
Yep. I think the Bison women are poised to be very, very good again, just knowing what they have
It
back.
sure seems like it.
We had Jossie Schiller on last week, and just after that trip to the Dominican, they have, I think, everything primed for another big year. We'll see what the Jackrabbits have in store. SDSU's not going anywhere, but Bison, for the first time, are going to be the favorites when that poll comes out in October for this upcoming year, just based on what they have coming back for 2026-27. But both coaches are going to be back as well, which I'm sure the men's basketball head coach is thrilled to know. He has many more appearances coming on this program, which is all
He's
I
good
worry
with
about.
you.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because he loves to he tells it like it is, which I really appreciate.
I see his daughter was quoted in the forum this morning on inform.com on a volleyball story.
Really?
Finally, a quotable Richmond after all these years in print. How long has he been here? 20 whatever years?
He is a volleyball
Finally.
dad through and through on that. Let's break. We come back. July 1 is an actual pretty big deal around here this week. We'll talk to Jeff about what's happening with Bison and Bison football. Derrick Lang is coming up in about 10 minutes as well. As we roll on a Monday morning, we're back after this. Yowza, that is in Wahpeton.
Take
right
cover
now.
in Wahpeton.
Yeah, that is.
Looks like it's middle of the night.
We heard that the storms were to the south, certainly in South Dakota, moving that way. So hopefully everybody's safe down there for our friends in Wahpeton. All right, so we got Langer coming up here in just a few minutes. Derrick Lang, who's part of NDSU's Team Makers, obviously fun there, and running everything fundraising arm, because Wednesday, you wrote about it's online right now at inform.com, is 701 Day. It's also the first day that North Dakota State will be a full-fledged FBS member. Matt Larson told us last week that the application has been signed, everything has been approved and good to go, that they will be an FBS member, and the Bison have got some major fundraising plan for Wednesday.
Well, they already raised $10.1 million in this matching gift thing that they have going on.
$10.1 million.
Yeah.
Yowza. That is a large chunk of change.
Well, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it takes. And they've always said, and you hear this, that if the Bison go to the next level, and when you talk about the administrators, they are not going, and this is them talking over the years, they're not going to go just to be mediocre. And that takes funding. And I think there are donors out there willing to fund the move. I
think, and I asked Larson this last week, there are donors that maybe were tepid with them over the last handful of years because it's FCS. I've already donated. But once this happened, I think they re-energized some of the bigger, higher roller ones. And honestly, I think there are other ones that they couldn't talk to until they got to FBS that started to give.
It may be no different than when they went from Division II to Division I, and Irv Iniger was the guy who went across the country, and he found donors totally that they unforeseen money. When going down to Phoenix, going down to Florida, because there were donors out there that just go, oh, you're going Division I now. Okay, I'm in.
Totally.
Division II, I never see Division II athletics. Now NDSU will, I'm talking about a donor. They'll say, okay, hopefully I can see them now on a more national basis. Which turned out to be the case,
totally
certainly.
On that, absolutely. And this is going to be even tenfold of that, going from D2 to D1, going from FCS to FBS, where exposure is we've seen it in the handful of months leading up here. just the amount of national stories. The story last week on becoming bowl eligible, that got picked. It was a national story last week.
Mike and I were talking about this last week, that the amount of coverage in FBS compared to where NDSU was in the Valley, it is night and day.
Totally.
I mean, the outlets in the Mountain West, Albuquerque, Las Vegas, Reno, Laramie, the Wyoming Sports Net. I check them all every day, and they are consistently reporting and on the radio shows and TV shows and streaming shows talking about FBS football.
Totally. It's just a different – we're in the silos of FCS where this is national.
Well, you forget about the FCS. Yeah, things went quiet in the offseason pretty much in most outlets.
Yes. Outside of this one and probably Missoula. Other than that, it's pretty darn quiet. And our friends in Sioux Falls do a nice job, but honestly, it's not to the level of what Fargo and the Montanas were producing. That's totally different now.
There's a story in the El Paso Times this morning on the school going Mountain West and how it always wanted to go Mountain West after the WAC blew up, but the former WAC schools went Mountain West, and they left El Paso in the dark.
Yeah.
We will certainly write about this probably in Media Day when we're in Vegas, but a big story in El Paso today that, on July 1st, they too are members of the Mountain West, and they've been waiting like 19 years for this. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did not know that either. Northern Illinois obviously will also become a member of the Mountain West come July 1. It's a brave new world out there, and to go back to the previous topic, and obviously what our next guest is going to talk about, the money goes with it. And Matt Larson told us the day that the press conference happened, this is not just a 2026 move. This has to be funded for years down the road. It starts with what they're trying to do on Wednesday.
It goes face-to-face with fundraising, and I go back to 2003 or 4 when I was talking to one of my good friends in Bismarck who said, Craig Bull got like 5 or 6 of us boosters around a table at Peacock Alley Restaurant Bar in Bismarck. And he goes, he was so good, we were just like, we had our checkbooks out by the end of lunch. Like, what do you need?
Yeah. I imagine Polisick's pretty darn good.
I think he's pretty good, too.
On asking on that. And just to put a finer point on the postseason eligibility, I asked him last whatever day, when it happened, Wednesday. He said he sent a text out to the team, the leadership council, all overjoyed that they not only are eligible for this year, I think 2027 was the big one, Jeff, that how many guys would leave knowing, okay, here's another year where we can't play in a bowl game or can't compete for the Mountain West Championship. That would have ravaged the program. I really do. I think there would have been a lot of people leaving.
And it makes sense.
There might still leave, but now it won't.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. $17.5 million, you got to get something for that, don't you?
You would think, but I would never put it past the NCAA to say, I don't think so, because they had said no before. I don't blame JMU fans for being pissy about it because they were right there at a chance to play in a high-level bowl game, compete for the Sun Belt Championship, and they couldn't do that in their first year.
JMU, Missouri State, who else still played in a bowl game because there weren't enough bowl eligible
Delaware
teams.
did, Delaware did last year. Absolutely, they still got to the opportunity to do it. I think for James Madison that first year, they wanted, we want to play for the Sun Belt Championship and get into the.
Yeah, I think it was their
CFP.
second year they got into a bowl game.
Yes, but the first year they couldn't, and they were they
were pretty good.
They should have won they probably could have won the Sun Belt that first year. Now that's all different, and a lot of thanks there. Honestly, I remember we asked Larson, we got to go here, but right after the press conference about the waiver process and all that, and they blew it up and created their own rule on it. And there you go. And now it's a done deal. So,
well, if you need any more golf advice, let me know because I pegged the winner before anybody.
Well, let's see if you can keep those picks coming when we get to the fall. You're kind of iffy on that. But here's what I'm saying.
Who has the trophy?
You have the last.
Who has the nickel?
You have the last FCS pick'em nickel. So we have to figure out what we're going to do now in FBS, right?
Well, why wouldn't it continue?
So,
the nickel trophy. We own the nickel trophy after UND and NDSU bolted it.
So are we going to be picking, Ohio State, Alabama now as part of the pick'em segment? Because I'll do it. Let's go.
All right. I guess we'll have to have a high-level meeting on that.
The storyboard.
High-level meeting.
Happy early Independence Day, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks, all right? There he is. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. We mentioned what NDSU's trying to do come July 1. Man who's in charge of that, Derrick Lang, will join us, former Bison football player, and now part of their fundraising arm. He'll join us when we start hour 2 of Hot Mike right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on a Monday morning. Matthew Babatz from Buffalo, Minnesota. A bison will be a dragon. We'll visit with him coming up here in about a half hour's time. Pretty pumped to have our next guest in studio. First time in studio guest. I've been bugging him for the better part of, I'd say, 15 years, Derrick Lang. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
15
years. You're aging me a little bit.
2009, actually 2009, so 16, because that was your redshirt freshman year at North Dakota State. In a former life, he's a football player for the Bison. Now he's a big money guy for NDSU. He has to go ask for large sums of money, and joins us here this morning. Kolpack and I were just talking about what's in store. I want to backtrack before we talk about 701 Day and what's happened on Wednesday. We talked, I think, right after the move happened. I don't know if we've done it on air. Just what has been the outpouring or the amount of phone calls coming from either potential donors or donors saying, hey, I'm on board now. I was maybe tepid about FCS football. I'm both feet in now with Mountain West.
There was obviously always a lot of questions leading up to that, the opportunity to move up. I know, you guys were talking about it a lot too, and we were getting a lot of questions. So obviously, the reaction has just been excitement. When you look at our schedule this year in comparison to previous years, our fans are super excited about it. That's showing in, our season tickets obviously have seen an uptick. Tailgating sold out. We've got 701 Day and the Climb the Mountain campaign. So just people really, really excited about the opportunity. And not just excited about the opportunity, but wanting to see us do it right and be successful. And Bison Nation's always found a way to respond. So it's been overwhelmingly positive, in terms of the move. And we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But it's exciting.
The Climb the Mountain campaign, how long was that in the works before, hey, okay, we're ready to, because you guys launched that the day after the Mountain West move was announced.
Yeah, I would say we had probably been talking about it, maybe close to a month before that. Okay, if this does happen, how are we going to go about raising this amount of money and really get people behind it? There was a lot of work by a lot of different people behind the scenes, thinking about what's that look like, what are the pillars behind it, what areas do we need to elevate, it was probably about a month's work in advance.
Okay, where were you when I'm assuming Matt Larson comes to you and say, hey, you can't say anything, but we're in.
Yeah, where was I? That's a great question. It's been just a whirlwind of a year, the last 6 years.
Right, yeah.
When you said 2009, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been in Fargo for 15 years. You told my wife and I that. I
never would have believed that, right?
Yeah. And here we are.
Yep.
But where was I? I think I was in the shack. And actually, I think I was walking up on the upper concourse. Because I don't think Matt was in town, and I'm always on the phone constantly. Just ask my wife. Drives her crazy. I think I was
perils
up on
of the job, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. If I'm in my office or not on my phone, that's a bad sign for us. I think I was on the upper concourse. Now that you asked that question, on the phone with somebody and called me and said, hey, this is moving forward, and that's kind of when start taking those plans seriously on what's this going to look like, how are we going to get the messaging out to our fan base.
Because I think a lot of people, maybe Derrick, don't understand, like, hey, we found out, and then we're going to start planning. This has been in the works for a month, as you said beforehand. It's not just, hey, we got to figure out what we're going to do. That plans had already been set.
Yeah, we had a lot of really good conversations with a lot of our donors that have been supporting us for a long time in advance, having those conversations of, hey, if this were to come to fruition, where are you guys at? Are you supportive of this? Because again, a credit to our donors. Anytime we do something, we do it right. And so those are the people that we had conversations with that we knew would make a significant impact, and we were going to need their help in a big time way. So there were certainly a handful of conversations that took place.
Were there people that you went to maybe a couple of years ago and said, I don't think so, that we're now re-energized with this move, with this announcement?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say not only on the fundraising side, but just season ticket holders. I've been in this role I'll be going into my 7th football season.
Wow, that's crazy.
This fall, which
that's
is
wild in its own right.
Wild.
Yep.
And so there were certainly people along the way for different reasons that maybe had season tickets and then let them go, or let a certain amount of them go, tailgating, all those things. And we've certainly seen people come back in the fold. The amount of conversations I had of, hey, call me again, when we move up to FBS. And we've made sure we've followed through.
You wrote those down then, right?
We kept those receipts as they like.
That's
to say.
awesome. Yep.
So yeah, there are certainly those people that have come back in the fold, and obviously, welcome them back.
And I've spoken to, I would say, at least 20 to 30 fans that have told me the same thing. Like I never missed a game. I never missed a game when you played, right? From talking about Derrick, like from that 2013 to 2017 stretch where the dome was on fire. It's just not been that way. When you saw that last game with Illinois State, a postseason game, just didn't have any juice at all. That now have come back and said, "Yeah, I'm got my tailgating back. I can't wait for August 29th." And it's just a totally different attitude around it that it was not there even 7 months ago.
For sure, and that was probably one of our concerns is that if we don't make this move, maybe 10,000 people in the dome just becomes
the norm,
new norm.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't the complete. Our aspiration was we wanted to play at the highest level we possibly could. But that was certainly a concern, and we had seen a decline in season tickets and always heard a lot of reasons, which I'm sure you have too.
Yep.
But I think the main one really was just the product on the field, not our product, but just the result of some of the games, and we were really our own worst enemy, in some fashions the last 10 years.
Saying that out loud seems preposterous.
Isn't that crazy?
They were too good.
Yeah.
Because I've done a handful of interviews with other markets asking, there are people who don't come to the game because they're too good. I'm like, until you actually see a beatdown happen regularly, looking at the schedule, I'm sure you guys did this. You can probably admit it now, 15 years later. Like, we're going to win 9 games. There's going to be a couple games that are going to be a coin flip, but just looking at this, we go out there, we're going to win 9.
For sure.
Yeah.
And anytime people had brought that up about us winning 50-0, my messaging has always been a lot of people don't realize the amount of time,
work that
effort,
goes into that.
energy that our staff and student athletes put in to win 50-0. There's a lot. We've maybe at times make it seem easy. It's not easy.
No.
I mean, it's 365 days of the year now with everything going on. And so that was always the conversation and maybe the response that we had, that we need your support. Our kids deserve your support. They put a ton of work, effort, energy into this. And so excited to have be a new level of excitement coming back in the dome, and we kick off at the end of August.
So give us the lowdown of what Wednesday's all about, what 701 Day is.
Yeah, so 701 Day. So let's back up a quick second, maybe for those that aren't familiar with our Climb the Mountain campaign. So you mentioned we kicked that off right after we made the announcement. And there's really 4 key pillars to our Climb the Mountain campaign that we have to elevate Bison football. The first one, obviously, scholarships and scholarship support, going from that 63 number to 85. And that gets complicated too with NIL and all that stuff. But
with the house settlement, it's really different. But it bar none, it's additional scholarships.
Additional scholarship support. Yep. So that's number one. Number 2 is just operational support. So obviously we're going to see an increased cost in recruiting, travel, coaching salaries, staffing. Coach, we've already added 1 position, but Coach Polisek will continue to add multiple positions moving forward. So just additional operational support. Number 3 would be facilities. So we're in a great spot from a facility standpoint, but really existing facilities. So obviously adding some staff. The Fargo Dome, we got to take some of that space and create new office space and move some of the meeting room space over to the indoor practice facility. So those 2 facility projects are on the horizon. And then obviously NIL, playing a huge piece. So the Climb the Mountain campaign, those are the 4 key pillars. And so Wednesday, 701 Day. So how did that come about? So July 1st, unofficial holiday in the state of North Dakota. Also happens to be our first day in the Mountain West Conference. So our staff, kind of took that, okay, how do we take the Climb the Mountain and come up with our first campaign? So just the timing of that working out perfectly. I think you're familiar with what we've been doing on NDSU Giving Day in the fall.
Totally.
Was all focused on NIL, and we had challenge gifts set up for each of our sports. So we've seen some success with that and kind of that crowd raising online. So same concept. So we've got 7 different challenge gifts set up for Wednesday. And essentially every time we hit 100 individual gifts, on Wednesday will unlock at least a six-figure gift. And so we've announced those challenge gifts online. Hopefully people have seen those. So thankful.
We've already hit a couple already on the early ones, right?
Yeah. So early giving is open. So you can give now. You can give it at as little as $5 all the way up to whatever you want. So fully expect that we'll see your $701 donation here shortly.
Hold your breath on that one. Go for it.
Get all your friends as well. And so, no, we're really excited, hoping to make an impact of more than $10 million. And some of those challenge gifts were gifts that we had already had.
Okay.
So those are pledges that we knew were coming, but those donors were so thankful that they let us use their gift to inspire others
to
essentially
do that.
on Giving Day. So
what's been the response knowing this was coming and hearing from, I'm in, I'm on board? What have you heard over the last few days on it?
It's been fun. I think the biggest thing with Bison Nation that I've known over the last 15 years is anytime you bring up a challenge or ask them to help.
That's true.
They've always been so great in responding. And so it's been awesome. A lot of text messages already this morning, once we announced those challenge gifts of congratulations. Hey, how do I help? Where's the link? I think people are certainly excited. And our goal for 701 Day too is to own the whole state of North Dakota. So we've got volunteers and coaches that are going to be in 10 different cities across the state.
Wow.
Coach P is going to be in Dickinson. We're actually leaving for Bismarck here this afternoon. Okay. So we're going to own the state, own the day here on Wednesday. It'll be fun.
I have to ask I've asked Matt Larson this. I asked Jack Mon as well, who's always a character. I'll ask you, what is it like to go and ask somebody for a 6 or 7 figure donation? How difficult is that? It's not like asking, hey, I need $20. That's a different deal. Well, how do you do that?
I would say it takes time.
Yeah.
You don't just show up on your first visit with someone and they're like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll give you
I need $1 million.
I'll give you 6 figures. That sounds good. And so they take time. It's usually, I don't know what the average is, in terms of how many visits, it takes, but it takes multiple. And I would say even beyond that, those are relationships that people at NDSU have been building for a long time. Those things don't just happen. And so there's a giving process. And so I think that's where Team Makers is so important. It's their first step in the giving process, whether that's just giving philanthropically, or maybe they start as a season ticket holder and they start sitting in the end zone, and then 10 years later they're sitting at the 50. And then there's that relationship with administration and the coaches. So it goes far beyond just that first visit when you're going for an ask. And so it, just like anything, good things take time. And those conversations typically, get easier as you, get to know their family. For example, like my wife and I, we don't have a lot of weekends during the summer where we're just doing nothing.
Sitting down.
We're usually and we're super thankful for it. We're usually at a donor's lake place because they're inviting us, or we're playing golf, or all those things. So it's a constant thing.
What's a better feeling, scoring a touchdown or getting a 6-figure donation call? Say, yep, I'm in.
That's a good question. I didn't have very many touchdowns. Number one,
you had a few,
so I had to savor those when I had them. I've probably, thankfully, and I have been doing this for 6 years. I would say in confidence, I've gotten more 6-figure gifts than I did touchdowns. Which again is not saying much. That wasn't a high standard that I set here at NDSU. I would say, honestly, probably a 6-figure gift. That's a really interesting question. But I just love finding ways to support our student athletes. That just gives me so much pride and joy because our kids do it the right way. So I'd say the 6-figure gift. That's a great question, though.
I appreciate it. I got my one great question of the week. I got it right there. Let's break. Can we talk some ball when we come back? All right, we got some more with Derrick Lang joining us from North Dakota State on Giving Day 701 Day coming up on Wednesday. Much more with Langer will join us on the other side of the break. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. A few more minutes here with Derrick Lang joining us from North Dakota State, chatting about 701 Day coming up on Wednesday. I have you here. I have to talk some ball with you because we're almost to July, and we were talking off air. Once we get past July 4th, it's football season is pretty much here. I don't know if I've asked you this. Can you tell me your recruiting story of who came to Wausau and how you got to North Dakota State? I don't think I do.
So again, going way back.
Yeah.
So Tim recruited me.
Yep.
He was my recruiting
I
coordinator.
think I knew that part, but I don't remember
Yep.
how you got actually here.
Yeah, so for me, I was mostly being recruited by Division II schools. So NDSU was really the only Division I school that I was even talking to. And so my junior year, I came up for the camp that
Still
the
goes
individual
now,
camp
yeah.
that's still going strong now, and had a good camp. My high school story though is a little bit different because we ran the wing T. So I was in that fullback position, but constantly had the ball in my hands. So obviously was not even close to being fast or big enough to play running back here at NDSU, but was being recruited by Division II, a lot of Duluth, Mankato, Bemidji, all those schools. But NDSU was recruiting me to be a fullback. The other schools were recruiting me to be a running back. So that was probably my more natural position at that time. But for me, I always just had my heart set on playing at the Division I level. And so this was my only opportunity. Obviously didn't get a scholarship, but was offered a preferred walk-on spot. And so had offers from the other Division II schools. But as you can imagine, as you've been around Coach Polisek a long time, when he was recruiting me, just like anything he does 110 miles an hour, he was even recruiting Derrick Lang as a walk-on at 110 miles an hour. And so when I came here, Fargo it felt like home, felt like a place I was needed to be. Tim was recruiting me. He was going to be my position coach. And so I just couldn't say no, to that opportunity. And so I was really close to going to Minnesota Duluth. They had just won the national championship as I was coming out of high school, and Coach Gazer was actually still there at that time. And so that was a tough decision, but I just couldn't pass up on the opportunity to be a preferred walk-on. And I honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't be where I am today or who I am without it.
Give us some names that were in your recruiting class that came in with you in your freshman year.
Oh my gosh. This is the battle of recruiting classes between my class and the class
the following
behind
year,
me.
2010, correct.
Yep. So that I was Brock Jensen.
Brock Jensen was in your
Marcus
class.
Williams, Ryan Drevlo, Levon Perry, Cole Jurek. Oh gosh.
Automatically there. That's pretty darn good right there.
It's a pretty good class. I'm trying to think of the wide receivers we had. I don't know if there's any huge names on the wide receivers. Sam O'Jury.
Yep.
Andrew Grothman.
Yep. Man, oh man. Those are some
the
names,
linebackers,
man.
I'm trying to think back. A lot of the guys that ended up coming in after me would have been a lot of that class. But those are some pretty heavy hitters. And then obviously we had some guys that ended up finishing with us, Billy Turner, Grant Olson, that didn't redshirt, that ended up in our class. But yeah, between the class I came in with and the class behind me.
Those names, holy cow. Right?
Pretty significant.
When did you notice that, because obviously your redshirt freshman year was not good. That was the year you won 3 games.
Yep.
Was it sometime in 2010, you're like, hey, we got something here?
I think it was that off season after the 2009 season where we struggled and there were some off the field things. I give a ton of credit to that senior class of 2010 that really said, hey, enough is enough. We're going to turn this thing around and we're going to do it the right way. Because I still remember, going through that off season, the off season workouts, the practices. I think at that point, that's really when we started doing the double repping.
Yeah.
In spring ball, in fall camp. Don't quote me on that, but it had to have been pretty close to that year where it's just constant action. You're getting a ton of reps, no matter if you're the third string running back or the first string linebacker. So I would say that off season is really, and that's why I give that class so much credit, for setting a new standard.
You want to look some vintage video? You're going to take us through a couple highlights I put together here. The monitor's right over here. You're right. Go ahead and play it, Eric, because I got some great. Take this one. Last game in the Fargo Dome. You got a touchdown,
my gosh,
man.
Be an athlete. A better athlete would have kept his feet.
Yeah, you stayed in bounds. Come on, though.
I blame Brock for the throw. He should have.
How special was that, though? That was your last game in the Dome, and you scored a touchdown.
Yeah, how about
that? We're number 42, by the way. 42.
Is that Lafayette there?
Yeah.
I think. The old turf.
Yes, the old turf. My goodness.
Little screen pass.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Unhook the
trailer. By the way.
Keep your feet. We could have added that one to the list.
Hey, you got in, though. I think, right? You can get in here. Look at that. That's a good move, right?
I think was that have been College Game Day?
I think it was. It was Delaware State. It was. Good call, yes. And then this is the most famous one.
Yep.
Take us
It
through
was,
this play. What do you remember about it?
First of all, great play call.
Yep.
Who'd have thought the third string running back was getting it on 3rd and 11? We caught him off guard. But I do just remember, it's so funny you asked that because that stuff happens so fast. Like, you don't have time to think about when the play is called and all those things. But I do just remember Billy Turner, you'll see it up here, just screaming by me and just crushing that guy. But it happens.
That's good stuff.
It happens so fast.
How often you get asked about that play?
All the time.
I bet you do.
You know, Todd DeBates, former player, he's a dentist in town. Every time I see him, it's always the greatest screen pass in
It is,
school history.
honestly. Without that,
you know,
that drive doesn't happen.
You know what I would love to do? I'm going to do this someday. I just haven't had a chance to talk to him. But I would love to ask if you're ever, the next time you interview Brent Vegan, you need to ask him if he realizes who was in the game when he called that. And I would love to know the actual answer.
Let Veeks out again. I'll make sure I do that.
People don't realize this either. Here's how it worked that year. We had Samuel Jury and John Crockett. So they were alternating series.
Yep.
So the only Sam had the series to himself. The only reason I played significantly on offense that year was when it was John Crockett's series. If it was 3rd and longer, I went in on 3rd down, which was that play. We ended up there. But I would love to know if he actually realizes
you were in the game.
Who was in the game.
That's how it goes down in history, though. When you think of the top plays in the Division I era, that one is going to be, if not at the top, very close to it.
And I'll just never forget, that team, again, my class, the class behind us, I think going in that game, we had the mentality, we were going in there to win, and there was never any doubt, but it was hot that day.
Oh, that's the last thing I was going to leave. I went through 3 shirts, and I didn't play. I was on the sideline.
It was pretty cool, right? Like they were coming off the Big 12 championship.
The fireworks going off afterwards as we're interviewing Craig and we're interviewing Brock, and they're commemorating Bill Snyder Stadium, and they lost the game. That cool. Part was like, that went to the surreal level. And I had my buddies back in New York calling me and texting me, saying, hey, watch that. I can't believe the Bison won. But
I think that's a great story there of why you come to NDSU. Totally. You come to play in big-time games like that and have those opportunities.
And I remember the next day, I called Gene Taylor because I had heard that something was in the works and College Game Day was coming to Fargo. And then,
how about
lo and behold, it was here.
Who would have thought we'd host College Game Day twice?
Unbelievable stuff. All right, so 701 Day, where can people go if they want to donate?
Yeah, go to gobison.com. Okay. We've got a bunch of different links on our website there. But again, whether you give $5 or $5,000, every gift's going to count. I think the thing I'll leave you with, Dom, there too, is when we made this decision to move into the FBS football Mountain West Conference, this is so much more than just Bison football. When President Cook and Matt really got the wheels rolling on this is a decision for the whole institution, the whole state of North Dakota, the whole community. Our hope is that this elevates everybody. If we're just going to make this about Bison football, it's not going to go how we want it to. This is about elevating the whole state and everyone in North Dakota. And so you can be a big part of helping us have that success. So make a gift on now. Early giving's open. If you want to wait till Wednesday on 701 Day, we're going to need everyone's help, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for coming by here. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your summer. It lasts about 2 weeks.
Enjoy
all right.
Vacation.
I will.
Really appreciate all your coverage for Bison Athletics.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming by. Derrick Lang joining us here in studio. We'll break. We'll come back. We'll chat. There's one Babatz that plays at NDSU. His younger brother going to play across the river at Minnesota State University Moorhead. You'll meet Matthew Babatz when Hot Mike continues after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a Monday morning. You're looking at that Dragon logo because we're going to talk some Dragon Ball here for the next few minutes. You got to know the Babatz name pretty well over the last 2 years. We had a chance to meet Ryan, I want to say, about 18 months ago when recruiting blew up, and it was about this time, about 2 years ago, North Dakota State got a commitment from Buffalo, Minnesota's Ryan Babatz, who just completed his freshman year at North Dakota State, set to be starting in year 2. His younger brother, who is just as big, announced over the weekend that he is coming up this way as well, playing across the river for those Dragons at Minnesota State University Moorhead. Matthew joins us here. Another Zoom in the Babatz household. They might start charging me now, though, how often we do this. But congratulations, bud, on the news over the weekend. Tell us about MSUM and why this was the fit.
I felt like the coaches, were like the real deal. Very nice people, very genuine. And they're just committed to like their craft. They're just genuine. And I think Moorhead also had the major I want to pursue. And it's a great, Fargo-Moorhead area is a great place to be. And I think that's just where I want to set my roots for the next 4 years.
What's the major you're going to go after?
I want to be in the engineering field, and Moorhead has the engineering physics degree.
Nice.
And I think that's what I want to pursue.
You're already above my pay grade and brainwaves on that, man. That's fantastic. Well, how much did the familiarity? I know you were along with Ryan and your mom and dad coming up here. How much did Fargo-Moorhead feel like this is quote unquote home?
It felt a lot like home. I've been up there, I don't even know, dozens of times since Ryan committed, and I think I know the area pretty well now, and I feel like it's where I kind of want to be, especially now that it's kind of familiar, and I like it.
So watching Ryan go through the recruiting process, how much did you take some notes and say, okay, this is what I want to ask coaches, seeing what he went through?
I definitely think I took a lot from his recruiting process, a lot of the questions and just overall friendliness and ability to talk to coaches, because he was really good at that, and I think he definitely laid the foundation for how my recruiting process went and just overall kind of where I'm going now.
We'll talk about him in a minute. This is about you. I want to tell me about your game and what stands out and what you can do at the next level.
I personally think that I'm just maybe kind of in my opinion, I might be a little smaller of a frame, but I feel like I can move somewhat well, and just kind of have eyes on the defender, and just kind of get it done, find a way kind of thing.
What position you feel natural at on the offensive line?
I feel like guard is probably where I'm, most familiar with, but center, I can kind of snap the ball. I feel like that might be where I'm going to end up, with my frame. But wherever I can play, I'm up for it.
Is that something you got to learn? Is that what the Dragon coaches talk to you about? Hey, center might be something where we see you at.
I think they might have mentioned it. I was doing some one-on-one reps during the camp at center, and I mean, it wasn't a real ball. You just kind of snap your hand a little bit, but I feel like that's probably where I'd be best, suited. But yeah. No.
So tell me about, you mentioned obviously the school and what stood out there on the football side of things, talking with Coach Lockway, talking with the other Dragon assistants. What made it say, okay, this is where I want to go to school?
I'd definitely say it's because Coach Scott, he was one of the first coaches to ever talk to me, and he was straight up and genuine back when I was, I think going into my sophomore year, at the NDSU camp. He was very helpful and, telling me what I can improve in. He didn't kind of sugarcoat it, and, he's always been there, and, he invited me to a couple junior days and visits and game day visits and all that. And then when I got there, I met Coach Lockway, and he's the real deal. He's been there for a while, and he's very genuine, very approachable and just a good guy overall.
Don't tell him I said this, but he knows his football a little bit too. So he actually knows what's going on. And did you know they throw the ball 70 times a game? So you're going to be a busy man. I mean, blocking, they don't run the ball there.
No. But, wherever I can play, I'll do it.
So you got offered here just a couple weeks ago up at NDSU's camp. When the Dragons offered, was it automatic, or did you think about it for a little bit?
I thought about it for a couple of days, and then I'm that might be where I wanted to be. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of months. If I were to get offered, would I commit? And I think, it's probably where I'm best suited. Just, kind of being close to the area that I'm most familiar with, and just kind of Ryan's there too. So, I mean, I wouldn't, mind that either.
So I got to know your mom and dad a little bit. When you told them, hey, I'm thinking of Moorhead, were they more excited than you?
Yeah, I think they were pretty excited too. Cause I know, my dad's pretty familiar with the area. Just, he's a big Bison fan, and he's into all the sports and stuff. And then my mom went there. She went to Moorhead, back in the 90s. So she liked that, kind of that I'd be going there.
I'm trying not to laugh too much at back in the 90s comment, because that makes me feel very, very old. But when did you tell Ryan? What was his reaction?
When I told him, I think he was kind of surprised, but excited at the same time, knowing that he would have a sibling up in the, the same area as him, kind of playing football, and knowing that, I kind of am able to pursue my dreams as well and play football just like he is. And I think he was kind of excited for me in that way.
That's great stuff. I have to ask about watching. I know you were in your own deal playing high school ball at Buffalo this past year, but how much did you have a chance to chat with him during this past football season? And he's getting more reps. He's playing. Did you guys have a chance to talk about what his experience was like at NDSU this past fall?
Yeah, I think we kind of talked to him about how it's, a little bit different than high school, but also kind of he kind of coached me up on a couple of little things about how the game is a lot faster at the college level. And how it's definitely harder, And I think he mentioned that, but also at the same time, he kind of acknowledged that you kind of got to keep up with, the movement of the game. And it just makes you better overall. And I think he tried to instill that in me too.
We've had Coach Litter on from Buffalo a few times, talking obviously of your older brother and just the amount of really, really good players that are at your high school. Tell me about that, of playing at Buffalo and the expectations that come playing at your high school in football. Yeah,
I'd say Buffalo in the past, 10 years or so, we've ramped up pretty hard in the football scene, especially with Coach Litt. He brings a lot of team bonding to the team, and he makes us, get intermingled with each other and just kind of know that we're there for each other. And then also we do a lot of football, intensity, lifting and all that stuff together. So we all become one big team, and not kind of little, what is it called? The cliques, of just little guys, we're all 9 through 12, we're all together. And I think that also brings a lot of skill with it too. Cause seniors can teach the freshmen, and it helps progress the program over the next, couple years.
So I follow you guys on Twitter. I have to ask, because Coach Litt sent me this about something called Truck Stick, that you're ranked third in that. What is that for us normal people? Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's essentially where if you're running full speed at someone, how hard it will hit. I'm not exactly sure what the number means, but all I do know is that it's your weight in kilograms, and then your flying 10 speed.
Your miles per hour into it? Holy cow. You're at 879.2. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'd say it's fair.
So how do you test for it?
So we go up on the track in our field house.
Okay.
And we do we run 30 yards, and then for 10 yards it measures how fast we're going. So it's a flying 10.
Okay.
And then we also just take our weight every morning before lifting. And then I think might be Lit. He's the one who writes it up. Him and our strength coach, they write it up and they figure it all out. And then they come up with the truck stick.
That's awesome. All right, there we go. Now we know what's up. A couple last things before we go. Tell me about 2026, this upcoming fall. What do we make of the Bison this year, and who's going to be the biggest opponent on the schedule this upcoming fall?
I'd say that probably maybe Monticello would be our biggest opponent. I think we're getting better this year, for sure, better than last year. And I think we still kind of have a sour taste in our mouths from the Monticello game. And I think we definitely want to get back. and just, progress as a program, fix our problems,
Who's the biggest rival for you guys? Who is number one in your mind? Would it be them or is it somebody else for your biggest rival?
I'd say it's Monticello because they're just a couple miles north of us.
Yeah.
They're a big rival.
I have been to your high school football stadium. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorites, and I'm looking forward to watching you play again this upcoming fall. Congratulations on committing. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Matthew Babatz from Buffalo, Minnesota. Another in the Babatz line that's going to be playing football up here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Obviously, his older brother Ryan had a fantastic freshman year at North Dakota State. He slotted in to be that starter at left tackle for the Bison when they hit the field on August 29th. And Matthew is nothing to slouch at either there for this upcoming football season. And Steve Lockway continually gets really good players out of the Twin Cities. Matthew is at 6'1", 265. He's not as big as his older brother, but you heard him say I think he moves better than his older brother. So looking forward to seeing him play this upcoming fall for the Bison in Buffalo, and then he'll be a Dragon come the fall of 2027. Appreciate his time here. All right, we've already reached the end of the show. Holy cow, we've been flying today. So let's take our final break. We come back. We will wrap things up and get you ready. This is not your normal June sleepy Monday. We got stuff going on. We'll tell you about it when Hot Mike wraps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday. Scheduling note here, I'm out the rest of the week. Sam will be here tomorrow, and then we'll have a couple of fill-in hosts for us. I believe Riley Swenson will be here on Wednesday and Thursday. He'll be back, and then making his Hot Mic hosting debut, Isaac Dienison will be in the big chair on Friday. That will be a full circle moment for Isaac because he used to help with our show before he became a big-time news guy and was on the air. In a previous incarnation when he was working at WDAY, in our old studio that used to be over to my right, Isaac was one of our producers, backroom guys, however you want to describe it, helping with audio, graphics, you name it. Now he's going to host the show on Friday, so I'm excited for that and looking forward to hopefully those guys have a great time and appreciate them filling in so both Sam and myself can get away for a little bit. Because after this, like I said, I'm back next Monday. And then I'm going to tell you right away. I'm going to tell you it's go time. Football season's here. It'll be July 6th, right after the holiday weekend, and I'm going to crush everybody's hearts that we're talking football pretty much nonstop because we're going to Valley. There it is, Mountain West Media Days, July 15th and 16th. We'll be in Las Vegas for those 2 days, which will be football crazy. And then if you don't think it's on then you got another thing coming. So looking forward to our first true vacation road trip with my family. We've gone. New York is, and my family back home will get upset with me about this. New York's not a vacation for me. I'm going home. Like this is and last year was definitely a arduous time to get there. This is an actual we're going to do something as the three of us. I'm excited about that. So hopefully some fun stories to tell when we're back next Monday. Let's get a couple emails in here before we wrap up the show. Dom, is there any exceptions for a person that went directly into military out of high school and then decided to go to college? This is about the 5-for-5 deal. Does it happen often? But it does happen. I had it had exceptions for persons who did mission trips like BYU. There are exceptions for that part of this new eligibility model that's coming into effect. I can't tell you on the military part of it. I would assume so. I believe that's part of the bylaw on it, but there's going to be contested on it. We've already seen a bunch of lawsuits already filed on the behalf of seniors that are out of eligibility trying to get another year, or seniors that are now hoping to get another year added on to what they have. Good luck on that, but that was one email we got sent in on that topic that I have time to get to on Friday. Another is reflected on the LaMelo Ball trade. Obviously, the Wolves made that move. The new league year starts for the NBA. I believe tomorrow free agency gets going. So we'll see. Apparently, the Warriors are trying to get LeBron James and Anthony Davis to sign. I believe Eric brought up earlier that Draymond Green has opted out of his deal. So If you're a basketball fan, sign up for the next couple days. It's going to get crazy. All right, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our great friends at Northwestern Mutual. Here we go. We got Twins opening up a series of the Astros tonight, 7 o'clock on Twins TV as they'll head to New York after that. The first knockout stage game today, Brazil and Japan. This should be good. Noon on Fox. There's one of 3 games going on today across the World Cup. And Wimbledon is underway today. One of my favorite TV events to watch, especially when there's no other events happening. There's actually live sports in the middle of the day. That's on now on ESPN. So plenty to get to today on a busy Monday. That'll wrap the show here for today. Thanks to our guests for joining us, to Jeff Kolpack, to Derrick Lang for joining us, and to Matthew Babatz. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay of our show on WDAY Plus in case you missed it. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy the 4th of July. Happy 250 to America. Be safe out there, everyone. I will be back with you next Monday, but the show will be back tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Have a Magic Mode Monday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.